Hi, I'm Diane McGarry with Drake Arts. With me today are co-host Tom McGarry, visual artist Michele Boll, and ASL interpreter Gay. Michelle's work is about those moments when light reveals what is beautiful about ordinary places and things. She is generally attracted to run-down buildings, simple objects, alleys glimpsed in pathways, or the way the light caresses moldings on old houses. I actually love that too.
Yeah.
Her goal is to capture the feeling of a place, a moment in time, and communicate that through her work. Her whole composition is never a rendering of the exact scene, but rather a reflection of her connection to it. She'll often remove or add objects to the composition in order to balance and complete the story Michele wants to tell. Somehow, in the spaces between light and shadow, she sees reflections of people who inhabit or build the structures, a hint of the human condition. The presence of the individual is always there, even when the individual is absent. Michelle's work has been exhibited in the National Association of Women Artists Gallery in New York City, the DeGorgova Museum, the Whistler House Museum, in which she was Artist of the Month, the Danforth Museum, and the Rose Art Museum. Michele is a past recipient of an Artists Fellowship from the Massachusetts Council on the Arts and Humanities, now the Massachusetts Cultural Council. In 2017, she was inducted into the National Association for Women Artists. Michele, your paintings seem to capture a moment in architecture. Some seem to have a starkness to them, even as the colors and lines are bold and solid. How do you decide to project your images this way?
It's really about the light. When I will drive around or walk around an area and I'll just see that a building or something that is lit up a certain way by the light that I just find beautiful. It's not really a conscious decision about the architecture. It's just really just the way the light makes something special.
Mm.
You know.
And it does, doesn't it? And it changes colors. Have you gone back at different times of the day to see how the places feel?
Occasionally I do. There was one place I was actually in Gloucester. And there was one area that I really liked, and I thought I would come back to it. And the light was different that day, and it was totally boring. Totally boring. It's like there was nothing there that I found interesting. So it's amazing how much the light will change something. It really is. And actually, this morning, like shortly before this interview, I was just in the house and I have like a small bathroom and I have a vase there with a flower in it. And the light just came in the window and I found that, oh my God, that's gorgeous. And I think I've taken 20 photographs
Wow.
trying to get it exactly the way I want it to be. And it's just, again, totally ordinary, but the light just hit the edges of this box of tissues. I mean, I have a cold, so there's lots of boxes of tissues in my house at the moment. So it's just the way the light went through it that I found beautiful.
Mm. You're reminding me when we had children many moons ago, someone suggested to me that I hang silks over the bed, or the crib really, so they could see the way the light and maybe the gentle wind would change the fabric
Mm.
and change what they could see. I mean, because babies, they're working on focusing, right?
Mm.
They're not, they've never focused in the womb. So they're out and they're trying to discover the world. And the first sense is sight, besides touch, I should say. And I've been thinking about that lately, how just seeing the light through curtains, which is what these essentially were, can be so different and put you in so many different moods.
It is amazing, and often I find just ordinary things in my house that the light just will hit at a certain times of day that just transforms it
Mm.
and just makes, again, something very ordinary beautiful. And it's just capturing that little moment that exists for sometimes seconds. That's important to me.
Yeah, that is important. Mm. So how did you get into this line of artistry? There's so many different ways you could have been a visual artist. How did you pick this one?
It was very gradual. Actually, when I started out, I was at the museum school, and my teacher was very much into abstract expressionism. So I did a lot of abstract expressionism as well. And at that time, we were head residents at Boston University,
Hmm.
and we had an apartment that overlooked the Charles and
Uh,
the Esplanade, which was really cool.
I bet.
And I began looking out the window and looking out the window, and gradually it began to change my work just because of what I saw. And I began to work more in pastel. So it was really just a gradual change of what interests me. It was always pretty urban. Like I like, especially then since I was living in Boston, it was the underpasses, some of the buildings, the subways, um, just the things around me. And again, it was always about the light hitting things. But if you saw my early work, you would never know it was mine because it was very, very abstract. People were very surprised to see my name on it. Excuse me, it's my cold.
That's all right. We're allowed to change over time. It's a very important thing to develop and change, right?
Well, you have to grow, you have to be willing to change and see what happens.
Yeah. What's a special um, quality that the pastels have that lend them so successfully to this display of light that you go for?
Well, the pastels, like the one behind me, I did for years, and that was the work that I was showing mostly on Newbury Street. Um, I found the media was just very direct. I didn't have to wait for things to dry. I could layer. But when I basically became pregnant, I had to stop because pastels could be very toxic.
ooh,
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, because you're dealing with pure pigments and they could become airborne. So
Oh,
pure
wow.
cadmiums, cobalts, they could become very, very toxic. And it's something I did not want to be exposed to at the time. And
Sure.
I remember like when I would put in a sky, a heavy sky like that, it literally would be like a blue bloom of dust in the air
uh,
and not something that I could really breathe. I know
yes.
a lot of artists now who work in pastels have work with a vacuum system that'll literally vacuum up the dust as they work.
Oh, wow.
And there are papers now. Again, we're talking quite a while ago. Um, the new papers now hug the pastel a lot more than what I was working with. Again, we're talking 40 years ago. So I mean, I was working on printmaking paper. They didn't really have that many pastel papers then. So it's a little bit different now. So I
Mm.
really haven't worked in pastels really since my daughter was born.
Oh,
And I
wow.
gradually began to change to acrylics, which is what my work is now.
So, do you favor acrylics or it's just a progression for you?
Right now, I'm very comfortable with acrylics. I'm also allergic to oils, lucky me.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
So yeah, once that happened, I really needed to change to acrylics. And it was a bit of a process, but I found ways of working with it now that I could extend the drying time so I could do the careful blending
Huh.
that usually you would see with oils. Most people who come to my studio are surprised that they are acrylic because they think they are oils.
Hmm.
So I use a combination of traditional acrylics and open acrylics. The open acrylics made by Golden have a much longer drying time, so I
oh,
could really blend as well.
wow.
So I layer a lot. I'll do my first pass on a painting with the regular acrylics, and then I will go over and do glazing and do blending with the open. The opens are a little more transparent, so it works really, really well for doing like a graduated blend and just really enriching the whole piece.
I didn't realize people glazed acrylic paints.
Oh yeah, you could glaze anything. You could always put glazes on it for sure.
Oh,
Glazes is just a transparent layer. So there are many, many layers on what I do. So usually, I work pretty traditionally. One of my teachers at the museum school was Henry Schwartz, and he was a student of Ashka Kakashka. So it comes down to a very long line. So he taught me at that point a very traditional painting, starting with an underpainting, usually in like a burnt umber, and then layering on top of that and layering, layering, layering. until
Wow.
the final piece is done.
It's very different from watercolors,
It's very different from watercolors.
which isn't something that you've worked with, right? Because you want more vibrancy than watercolors generally give.
Actually, I do some work with watercolors. I feel like I'm still learning a lot about watercolors. You know, I usually do that at home. I have a studio at Weston Avenue Studios in Lowell,
Mhm.
and which is a wonderful, wonderful place, and I truly love it. But in the summer, we have no air conditioning,
No. Yeah.
And
so
that's a problem. Sorry.
it is brutal. When it's 95 outside, it could be 98 inside. So at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
I retreat to my basement and I may play with watercolors and
Huh.
or bring my paints home because it's just too hot.
Sure, sure. Yeah. That definitely changes the drying time too.
Oh, yeah, pick me up off the floor. It's just too hot.
Uh, what are some of your favorite places to go finding what you're going to be painting?
Well, I drive around a lot. I mean, Gloucester is definitely a favorite. I like
Mm,
just the cluster of houses.
mm,
Usually they're very ordinary houses, which I'm more attracted to than the fancier houses.
mm.
But that is probably one of my favorite places. I also like Somerville. I like the urban grid of Somerville a
Oh,
lot. So I will want the streets. I mean, I lived there for a while, so I'll go back to my old neighborhoods. I like, the highways that stretch over things and just the way the houses are grouped together, which creates all kinds of interesting shadows.
It does. It really does. And
earlier
some,
you mentioned looking out your window to see the Charles River and the Esplanade.
Mhm.
Did you ever paint those scenes, or was that much earlier in your career, so you weren't really doing that yet?
It was very early. I think I probably did some pastels that dealt with the Charles a little bit and
Mm,
some of the grass. Um, but it was more that I found that beautiful. And it was more that it was a transition to a more realism than
okay.
the subject matter per se.
Mm. I have a very strong memory. One time I was walking south on the Massachusetts Bridge across the Charles River, and it was very still, so the river was a mirror. And I looked to the east and I could see a seagull, the seagull's reflection, and the seagull's shadow because of where the sun was. It was just a very special scene. So
Ooh.
that's, etched in my memory now. Not that I'm a painter. That was just a very cool thing to run across. Mm.
It was fun living there especially, and we were there during the big blizzard. I just remember it all freezing over and people
Mm.
walking across the Charles, into Cambridge.
Yeah.
So
that's when I moved to Boston. Seriously.
Mm.
Me and my parakeet. Yep.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, that was an adventurous time. Uh, what are some of the most exquisite moments that you've had in painting?
Mm.
probably when I find something that is really difficult that I don't know if I could pull off.
Oh.
That's the challenge.
Mm.
It's like, I'm going to try this. I really don't know if I could pull it off. And there have been times when I couldn't, and I've literally gessoed over it. Um, but yeah, there was a New York one. I think I sent you that one,
Mm.
which was a scene from a hotel window in New York. And I did not know if I could possibly paint all those buildings and make that work. And it did take me, oh God, 2.5 months of working every day
Oh,
to
yeah.
do it. But
Mm.
that is probably what is most interesting. I don't want it to be too easy because then I don't grow.
No, that is definitely true. Yeah. Continually challenging ourselves, huh? Through time.
You have to.
That's nice. What is your next upcoming challenge then for yourself?
Oh, I'm trying to figure that one out.
I should have said it, have you thought of one, or are you just working still with what you were?
I'm working on one now that's an interior. Been interrupted by the flu, so I haven't been there. So I've been literally in the house for the past 2 weeks. Um, so I definitely want to finish that. I have a couple of other things in mind. One is right now there are a couple of still lifes, but I want to get out more. I'm not sure where I want to go, but I think I want to explore Somerville some more.
Mm.
There's a diner that I'm very interested in, and I want to get there with the right light. So I've scooped it out once. I don't like the photographs I've taken, so I need to go back there and try again. And sometimes I take a ton of photographs till I find the right light, getting it exactly the way I want it to be.
Sure. Do
Mm.
you ever take the photos and then put in the light the way you see it in your mind as opposed to the way you've seen it with the actual lighting?
Sometimes it depends. If it gives me enough to work with, like I'll know, for instance, there's one I did of a house in Marblehead, and I didn't like the sidewalk. I know I needed some a shoot of light coming across the street, so I put it in a little bit of urban renewal on my part.
Uh,
Yeah, so I will move things around or edit things, take something in, take it out, or put something in that wasn't there.
I was thinking actually more of the sun because the quality of the sunlight is so different, not just through times of day, but through seasons and different weather conditions.
Usually, if the sun isn't a way that attracts me, I wouldn't be interested in the scene. So I really need to see the natural light, see what the light does to whatever it is I'm looking at. Otherwise, I would probably would just pass it by. So
That's why you
it
said
really,
before you went back to a place and it was boring the second time.
it really was. It was amazing how dull it was.
So do you prefer like a clear sky and bright sunlight, or do you ever do like overcast things?
I prefer the bright sunlight. I mean, you talk about the golden hour,
Uh,
early in the morning or late in the afternoon.
yeah.
That is truly the best time. But every now and then, like the one of the paint factory in Gloucester that I sent you, that was probably around noon, but the shadows were incredible. I
Mm,
love that. That was pretty stark, but
mm,
I just loved the contrast.
mm.
Here, let's pull that one up.
Yep,
There we
there it
go.
is.
Yeah.
I just, it was so simple
Mm,
and yet not. I mean, I just loved the subtlety of the color in it and just the way the light just defined the shapes.
Right.
I was really excited about that one.
mm.
So
And the lighting is so intense, right? It's really dark and it's really bright. There's
it
hardly any in
was.
between.
It was pretty much backlit, when I was there, and I just liked that intensity. But I know like the light shooting up one side, I guess to the right,
Uh-huh.
wasn't quite that intense. So that one I sort of put in.
Uh,
I broke up the front a little bit more. There was a lot of debris in it, so the debris I cleaned it up.
Well, we didn't need that.
There's also a guy who was fishing off to one end, and I was thinking of actually putting him in, but then I decided no, he needed to leave.
mm.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of people in your paintings.
Um, Not too much. Occasionally, somebody will show up, so
Yeah.
it,
It- just the
it's
way
there.
that they'll show up. The way you said it, they're invading my space.
Well, sometimes they need to be there, and then they will be there.
Mm.
Uh, that's interesting. Yeah, and this is such an old building as well, which you show in such subtle detail with the paint.
I love the building, and I would love to know more about it and more about its history. And
Mm.
I don't know, I just found the shapes fascinating.
Mm.
So
Yeah, this has a very nice feeling to it. I'm not sure if that's what you were going for, but it's just like, wow, that's nice. It's sort of, I'm not sure, comfortable, I guess. So, did that play at all in, what you saw and then how you painted it?
um, honestly, it was really about. It just felt very stark and lonely,
Oh,
but
okay.
beautiful.
Hmm.
That's interesting because I don't see it as lonely. I see it as stark, but to me it's like very relaxing. It's a
Interesting.
place I would go and sit on the edge of the water there, dangle my feet over.
That's interesting because the person who did go was sitting on the edge, feet dangling over with a fishing rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I keep imagining it, but all the people who used to work there.
Ah,
Yeah.
Mm. Interesting.
Hmm.
Is this a factory or a machine shop?
It was a paint factory,
Oh,
literally a paint factory. So they would manufactured a lot of the paint that painted the homes in Gloucester and all around the area.
mhm,
I think it is now being restored as a museum and a historic site.
Oh,
So
nice.
they're working on it. I mean, obviously not done, but they, if you looked at it now, you'll see a lot of scaffolds around it because they are trying to restore it.
Yeah, it takes a long time to restore a building.
Yeah.
It's not a
So,
simple process.
so I think it will eventually be opened as part of the museum for the city
mm.
of Gloucester.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
very nice.
Mm.
So when you can go out of the house easily, are there any places you would go to look for scenes to paint, or is it more uh, just when you're out and about, you stumble across things that are interesting to paint?
I'm always looking, always.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, my husband is yelling at me. It's like, stop looking, relax. But I'm always looking. We do go on drives, and I will look for various things that I might find interesting. And sometimes I don't find anything.
Mm,
Sometimes there's nothing that's quite right, which is disappointing.
Well,
But I'm
actually, you
always
said
going out.
it's where the sun is. So it
Yeah,
could be that the sun just isn't right that day.
it could be. It could be. But so sometimes I do look at other things. I mean, generally it's sun, but my next door neighbor, the house was like covered in fog the other day, and I found that gorgeous.
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Fog has so many incredible qualities.
oh,
Well, thank you very much, Michelle, for spending this time talking with us about your wonderful works here.
oh,
Mm.
We look forward to your gallery and
well,
seeing more.
well, thank you for inviting me. Really, that was very kind.
You're welcome.
Okay.
To see more of Michelle's works, please join us for her art gallery during our March Arts Saturday. Register through our website. That's draketarts.com or on Eventbrite. We'd like to thank all our generous sponsors for making this and all of our programs possible. Please let them know and tell them thank you. And also consider being a sponsor yourself. Just go to draketarts.com/donate. For more information about our Art Salary Saturdays and other programs, you can find that on our website or email us at draketarts@gmail.com. This and all our programs are archived on the Drake It Arts YouTube channel. I'm trying to slow down so Kay can catch up. I'm sorry, I talk too fast sometimes. Anyway, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@Drake It Arts. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.